welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst cars since 2010, so you don't have to, in the often pretty desperate hunt for points. And it is round number 5 of the 2016 season. It is the Spanish Grand Prix in Barcelona. And you come to us off the back of a squandered result for the third time this season in Russia. Managed to play the safety car well, strategy was alright, we got a good start, made some places, came through the safety car period in that race to be running in the points, made a couple of good moves and were defending hard until Carlos Sainz, with just a few laps to go, got in the DRS. We moved to defend, not too egregiously, not too aggressively, but he got caught on the back of the car because F1 2016 things, and that was it. We were in the wall, ripped a wheel off, and our third DNF of this series. 5 times we've not reached the checkered flag now. 2 DSQs, 3 DNFs. 2 DNFs in Hungary, 1 in Russia, and then the DSQs in here at this circuit in Spain and in Korea. So that's where our record is at the moment. It is a crying shame because, like I say, I think we were on for points at Russia. It would have been 2 points finishes in a row, but it is showing that this car is capable of being in amongst it, and because of the F1 2016 AI being, well, a little bit mad, it does mean that we are finding ourselves more often than not in positions that this car probably shouldn't really be in. But after that race, Kimi Räikkönen took the win, but it didn't matter because Nico Rosberg didn't score very many points, and Lewis finished ahead of Max, so he leads the championship still by 5 points. Kimi Räikkönen did shoot up to third ahead of Nico Rosberg, and then it's Button, Bottas, Perez, Massa, Hülkenberg, Alonso, Vettel and Ricciardo. Then it's the 2 Toro Rossos of Sainz and Kvyat. We're a couple of points behind in 15th. We did slip 1 after that race. Kevin Magnussen's in 16th. And then Palmer, Nasser, Wehrlein, Ericsson, Gutierrez and Grosjean with 8 points. In the Constructors, Mercedes leading the way by 32 ahead of Red Bull. Ferrari moved into 3rd ahead of Williams. And then everybody else stayed where they were. McLaren 5th, Force India 6th, Toro Rosso 7th. We're 8th ahead of Renault, Sauber and Haas. And it's the Spanish Grand Prix, a circuit that in F1 games tends to be very weighted on the side of our AI compatriots. And in our pre-season event here, we had a fairly non-plus race, to be honest. That was our Rio Haryanto, and in single race mode there's always a bit of a variance between sort of quick race and career/championship in these games, so we might actually have a bit better pace in this one. But it is a circuit that I don't know, I don't really get on with, and obviously we're still a long way from it having the double right-hander at the end of a lap. We're still having to deal with that Mickey Mouse little chicane, which really does curtail your flow a little bit. We managed to out-qualify Pascal for the first time this season in the last round. We drew our rivalry. We both ended that qualifying session with enough points to draw. So we start again, and hopefully we can beat him this time around. But if the first 4 rounds have shown us anything, that this car does have an alright amount of pace, and that we should go into each race with a little bit of confidence, even the ones like here in Silverstone, where normally the AI are just so much better than we are. We should see, though, how much better they are. So we're going to go practice. While we do, we'll talk about the real world 2016 Spanish Grand Prix. The traditional starting point of the European season arrived to round 5 as the teams and drivers descended on Barcelona for the Spanish Grand Prix. There was a notable driver change leading up to this race as Max Verstappen was promoted to the senior Red Bull team in a straight swap with Daniel Kvyat, who was sent back to Toro Rosso. Wonder whatever happened with that driver change. As was so often the case in Spain, many teams arrived with upgrades, including Mercedes, McLaren and Force India, while Hamilton would receive a redesigned power unit in an attempt to offset the issues he experienced in the previous 2 rounds. This one was one of few incidents, save for Renault reserve driver Esteban Ocon picking up a puncture on his opening run. Ferrari would show their pace early, albeit on the softer tyres compared to Mercedes, Vettel leaving Raikkonen and Rosberg. Another fairly sedate practice session followed, save for another tyre problem for Renault as Jolyon Palmer found himself parking his car with a puncture as well. Rosberg would this time top the times ahead of Raikkonen and Hamilton. Rosberg wouldn't have it all his own way during the final session, the Mercedes having to return to the garage midway through as a power unit issue was investigated. That, however, didn't stop him from leading the times ahead of Hamilton and Vettel. Mercedes would continue to push each other as qualifying began, Rosberg just heading up his teammate after their first runs. At the other end, Felipe Massa would find himself eliminated after a poor first lap was followed by the Williams getting back on track too late to improve. He'd be joined in the drop zone by Palmer's Renault and the usual quartet of Sauber and Manor. Surprises weren't forthcoming in Q2 as both Haas cars, Button, Kvyat, Hülkenberg and Magnussen would find their qualifying coming to an end, while Hamilton would hit back, taking the top spot by the end of Q2. Hamilton would soak up the pressure from his teammate in Q3, going quickest on both of his runs to take pole by 3/10, Rosberg having to settle for second ahead of Ricciardo and Verstappen. The Ferraris would follow, Raikkonen ahead of Vettel as they struggled for traction, while Bottas, Sainz, Perez and home hero Alonso would complete the top 10. Would get a slightly better start initially, getting ahead of Rosberg, but the German would tuck into the slipstream, Hamilton defending and getting offline, allowing Rosberg to sweep around the outside. Rosberg would then tuck to the apex of turn 3, harvesting energy as he did. Hamilton spied a chance as he was still on full attack, so he dived up the inside. Rosberg moved across, Hamilton took to the grass, he lost control and collected Rosberg, sending both Mercedes out of the race. The safety car would be deployed, picking up the Red Bulls who had inherited the lead, Ricciardo ahead of Verstappen, while Carlos Sainz had managed to jump both Ferraris and be sat in third at the restart. The Red Bull cars would move away at the restart, while the Ferraris would have to scrap their way past Sainz, the Spaniard defending heroically for a few laps before inevitably slipped backwards. The order remained static until pit stops, Ricciardo finding himself stuck behind the manner of Rio Haryanto as the exited the pits. The Red Bull was affected by the turbulent air before being hampered by yellow flags at the end of the lap. When he did eventually move past the Manor, he was followed closely by Verstappen and Vettel. Red Bull would decide to switch Ricciardo to a 3-stop strategy, a move that would cost the Australian, though Vettel had shadowed that strategy. This gave the lead to Max Verstappen on his Red Bull debut. Ricciardo would stop for the final time after Vettel, the Honey Badger's pace looking just good enough to be able to catch Verstappen, as long as he didn't lose too much time passing the Ferraris.
We want to be quick, but we also want to be comfortable and consistent. Let's find that balance.
Ricciardo would give it everything, including a dive bomb on Vettel, but his hopes would be curtailed by a puncture. At the front of the field, though, it was the perfect debut for Red Bull for Max Verstappen. The number 33 taking his first Grand Prix win ahead of Raikkonen and Vettel. Ricciardo would still make it home in 4th place ahead of Bottas, Sainz, Perez, Massa, Button and Kvyat, who took the points. We also have a fairy tale Spanish Grand Prix in 2016. Well, apart from last season, this place has been quite the struggle for us in the series, and as we've seen in 2016 so far, qualifying has been our weakest link. I think keeping it off the back row is really our only game, so we'll go for 20th place, as that's probably realistically our best hope. Though who knows, if we'll somehow spring a surprise in Catalonia.
Here we are at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya for the start of today's qualifying session. It won't be long now until we're ready to join the action down at trackside. Drivers tend to complain about tyre wear around this track, and the compounds on offer this weekend aren't likely to put that issue to bed. Is this going to be about who can make the tyres last?
Tyre wear is always something you have to consider to a certain degree. Finding a good car balance that suits the circuit will help prolong the life of the tyre, but it's true that some circuits, such as this one, are more challenging than others. How hard you can push them depends on your strategy and how tight the battle is around you.
Okay, we know it's going to be a struggle to get out of this session, but give it your best shot.
Thank you, and Crofty and Jeff, for that really inspiring team talk. Yeah, it is going to be tough. It is the Spanish Grand Prix, and we know what the AI are like in Codemasters games here in Spain. Practice saw us fall foul of Checo. He's going to be another one on our list. So Jenson Button, Carlos Sainz, Checo Perez, Raikkonen and Magnussen, I think we've had run-ins with this season. Alonso too now as well. So most of the grid is probably starting to get a little bit annoyed, but also they've hit me too. Anyway, that's by the by. It is going to be tricky to get out of Q1 here. But we've seen stranger things happen. We did manage to out-qualify Pascal last time out, and we are getting more confident with this car. So, let's hit the track.
There's a few cars out on track. Perhaps we should get out there before it gets busy.
Yes, of course, Jeff. Just what we're about to do. Hope that we can, maybe, beat Pascal once again. Let's take a look then at our fastest lap in Q1, as you can see. Only just holding the car off the back as we head down towards turn number 1. Get a good run here, right the curve a little bit through 1 and through 2, that actually improves our time. It gives us the opportunity to slingshot through 3. We do have to lift off a little bit as the front end doesn't seem to want to stick. But we get up to Repsol and we're up on our best time so far. Keep it nice and tight to the apex as we head up the hill and then dive back down for this left-hander. A little bit away from the apex on entry, but we ride the curve on the outside. Keep it nice and steady as we head towards this chicane in the middle of the lap. Normally a bit of a problem point, but we get a really nice run through the first part and are able to power out as we head up towards turn 9. Really wide though. We didn't quite get the nose in. We got the DRS open. It's still up though as we head down towards La Caxia, turn number 10. Get nice and early on the brakes, really nicely around the apex and away from the outside as well, through 11 and into 12. Catch a little bit of grass as we bobble over the curb, but it doesn't seem to affect us too much as we head into 13 and then into 14 and 15. Trying our best not to cut the sausage curves. We managed to run that exit on the last part of the chicane quite nicely to gain some time. Cross the line. There's an improvement, but it's still not enough to get through. And for the first time this season we are knocked out in Q1. Not really surprising in Spain, to be honest, because the AI are just so quick here. As you can see, Lewis Hamilton has a 5-place grid penalty for something or other. I did pass him and Magnussen kind of bump drafting each other, so whether they've made contact and compromised each other, I don't know. But whatever happens to Lewis, he's going to have to start a little bit further back than he would have expected. We, as I say, knocked out in Q1 with Valtteri Bottas, of all people. Kevin Magnussen, Pascal just ahead of us by fractions of a second, but we are at least ahead of the Saubers. Spain is, as so often said about Spain in F1 games, painful. So the race is going to be pretty tough. But we've started further back this season and done all right. Hopefully, though, we can avoid contact and not end up in the wall like we did in Russia. A lot to watch out for then as we head down in towards turn 1 in Barcelona. Let's cross to the race and see how that goes.
Good afternoon from a very familiar setting. It's race day here in Spain, and with everything still to play for in the championship battle, there's no room for mistakes in a Grand Prix that's well known for creating them. It's a sellout crowd of 140,000 here today as we await lights out for the 730-metre sprint down to turn 1 of this 2.9-mile racetrack. Overtaking is challenging through these 16 corners, but there's still a lot of high-speed excitement to be found, including the flat-out turn 3 and the terrifying blind right of turn 9. Anthony Davidson is here with me today. Together we'll be taking you through all the action of this Spanish Grand Prix. It can be hard for the cars to follow each other closely here due to the dirty air coming off the car in front. So perhaps we're looking at a more strategic Grand Prix, Ant. What do you think on that?
I'm not too sure about that, Crofty. I mean, yes, as you say, it's hard to follow around here, but if you're brave on the brakes, you can get the job done down into turn 1, which is a medium-speed corner, so you have to be committed. And looking down at this grid today, I think we're going to see 1 or 2 drivers making a move from a long way back, maybe try to force their opponent into a mistake. I don't think this is a race that's going to be purely decided in the pit stops.
You're lower on the grid than we wanted. See to it that we improve throughout the race.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. Fantastic qualifying from the multiple world champion. And Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Alonso, Raikkonen, Jenson Button and Rosberg, Ricciardo, Massa, Kvyat and Sergio Perez, Hülkenberg, Hamilton, Romain Grosjean and Sainz, Gutierrez, Palmer, Valtteri Bottas and Kevin Magnussen, Wehrlein and Amana, Marcus Ericsson and Felipe Nasser starts from the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Thank you very much, Ant and Crofty. And what a mixed up grid that is. And let's not forget, it was dry, at least in Q1, if not probably for the rest of qualifying. But for the first time this season, we will be driving in the wet, coming off the line in the wet. And from P20 on the grid, you've got Hamilton down in 12th, the McLarens are 3rd and 5th. Massa, Bottas lower down the field as well. The Ferraris really the only ones in their kind of Red Bulls, really the only ones in their natural habitats. Haven't driven this game in the wet for probably about a decade. So yeah, this is going to be a bit of a step into the unknown. AI in Codemasters games in the wet can sometimes be a little slow, and that may counteract the overpowered nature of the AI here in Barcelona. But this is probably going to be our trickiest race yet of this season. I've said that in the last few, and we've got points in China. We should have got points in Russia if we hadn't been tipped into the wall. But it's a long run down to turn 1, and that long run in the wet could be pretty feisty. So, target-wise, it's going to be outside the points again, and I think we're probably only aiming for something like a 16th place, lower mid, because I just have this real feeling that we are going to be lacking in pace in these conditions. If it changes midway through the race, we might be able to come back in it, but it is heavy rain, so I can't see it drying out anytime soon. It's time. Let's get the 5 red lights on and out again for the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix. Lights have started. Here we go. The 5th red light is on. And away we go in Spain. The hold was a little longer than normal, but we get away quite well. Like Sainz did, because Palmer's trying to keep out of his way. Magnussen, though, got a decent start. We'll stay to the extreme inside, have to kind of ride the curb a little bit. Actually works in our favour as Hülkenberg and Hamilton contact up ahead. Super late on the brakes, clip Hamilton a little, survive it though. Up the inside of Hamilton, nudge Perez a little bit. The inside of Checo. And we're through into 9th, so we're in the points now. Pick up any more spots on this opening lap. Curve in there, that was a poor line. Compromises all the way through that, but we're okay. Somehow survived it. 9 at the end of the first lap, much better than I would have expected from 20th on the road. Actually, massive slipstream. It's going to be a late move. And we're through, P8. Gained.
These conditions don't look like they're shifting. We're predicting at least 20 minutes of heavy rainfall.
Looks like the rain's staying with us for a while. It's really kind of staying with the guys in front. I think that little queue is headed by both McLarens.
The gap to the car ahead is 1.3 seconds.
He's not a million miles behind. Then we've got a gap back to Massa. Comfortable at the moment. I don't remember the last time we had a wet race in this series. We're on the tail of this pack now as we reach the end of lap 5, but Hamilton's on our tail. To 9th, covered by probably about 2 or 3 seconds. We're getting Ricciardo's slipstream as it looks like Rosberg trying to bully his way past Button, and I think he's done it. If that group keep it clean, or whether we'll couple of spots through shenanigans.
0.5 seconds.
Close to the back of Ricciardo now. Actually pushing the Red Bull along. To the inside at the bottom of the hill, and we're through. And that puts Ricciardo right in front of Hamilton. Buffer for us for a moment, I think. Rosberg gets past Alonso, because I do think it's when rather than if he should Scarpa. The 2 McLarens though, not be able to keep pace with. That crap out the final corner, but we're right in Button's slipstream. Pull out of the slipstream and go by, but will squeeze us a little bit. Rosberg's got past Alonso as well. Lando's next. There's Alonso's slipstream, but I think it might be a bit too late. To be a bit closer out the final corner, Hamilton's going to pass Button and Ricciardo behind us. Hamilton might be hiding to nothing. Alonso and Button maybe we can find. Rosberg, as you can see, already scarpering. Super quickly away, but quickly enough.
In the car ahead, your best chance of making a pass is through sector 1.
Right with Alonso, pushing him out of turn 5. Inside out the chicane, just what we did to Ricciardo, past Alonso. We're into 5th. This is a great race so far. Just got to keep it clean and tidy. Hamilton with a run out of turn 9. Had to think about the inside, decided against it. Usually tame for the AI there. I think it's going to be long before Hamilton goes by. Losing speed at the moment, just as the tyres are going. A car in, I think that's Ricardo. All out of shape through 9. Hamilton is this time going by. Still to the inside though at 10. Hold him off. Whether fighting him hard is really worth it, but we'll obviously do what we can. Hamilton right with us through the final corner. He will go past. Both of us with Mercedes engines. Is he going to stay to the inside? Yes, he is. And we swoop round the outside and on the inside and through 2. Yes, we can. Pushing myself to fight him. Quite clean. We are boxing at the end of this lap. Verstappen and I think Vettel in. Raikkonen stays out. Rosberg stays out. And I think that's... yeah, Jenson Button stays out. So we're in ahead of Hamilton and Alonso. Hamilton does jump us, as does Alonso. That's upsetting.
Up to speed now. Let's get
Ricardo's jumped us all as well. Oh, no, he hasn't. Here comes Ricardo. He's fully up to speed. We're on inside into turn 1. Just about stay ahead of the Red Bull. Confident to attack straight away though. Unlike Alonso, Hamilton I think now has gone. And we've got inside of turn 5 on Alonso. Back into 9th spot. Just heading into the box now. Bottas being one of them. Perez the other. I think Button's actually managed to jump us here. He has. Now, side to side with Hamilton, there's contact.
Pascal is in the pits.
Hamilton right back to us. Briefly, Button getting absolute overcut, potentially. Pulled this move a couple of times. A bit later this time, but it does spook Hamilton. We're through on the Mercedes again. Catch up to Jenson Button.
The gap to the car ahead is 1.5 seconds.
Wide through 10 now. Gives Hamilton an opportunity. Not getting round there. Alonso's going to have a go at him. It's currently helping Jenson. But Alonso is through. Legitimately marginally quicker than Alonso as well. Hamilton here with a run. He's probably got out. Ricciardo's not far behind him either. They've both got past Alonso. Will hold Hamilton to the inside though, and then sweep back through turn 2. Losing ground on Button, but we're holding on to 6th at the moment. Still, it seems like an eternity in this race as we take an experimental line out of turn 3.
Okay, distance to teammate 40.3 seconds.
Looks like Alonso or Ricciardo have headed into the pits. Looks like it was Ricciardo. I mean, he did go early for a second set of tyres. I think we should be good to run to the end. Just open the steering and run
Gap to
wide.
car in front is 3.3 seconds.
You don't make a silly mistake but get punted off. 8th is about as bad as it's going to get, which is still a points result. I'd love to hold on to 6th though. Not many laps to go in this one. Hamilton, for the first time in a while, has got a bit of a run. I say a bit, he's already past us into the braking zone for 1. He will, however, brake later, swinging the car in, inside in a whole P6 still. A quite substantial gap behind Alonso, which is good for us, means we've got a real buffer. We've long since lost Jenson Button. Lap at 9, Hamilton goes to the inside. We try and hold it around the outside. It's contact. Still on the inside. We are going to be on the inside for 12 though. And 13. Just about give him enough room. Maybe even Alonso though will get past us down the start-finish straight. That run off the final corner.
Our gap to first place
Is
is
again.
27.4 seconds.
So with a better run this time, he's through again. Just about enough room to the outside. And they roll off the brakes and once again squeeze back through on the Mercedes. State defence may come to an end before this race is done. We get an undefendable run. Nobody can hold him off. He is losing the championship lead to Verstappen at this point, some 5 years before it happened for real. Such is the speed of Verstappen so far this season. He's been consistent too. Mentioned at the top during this race weekend, Verstappen did get his first race win. Probably some 60 or 70 odd later. Run wide at 10, allow Hamilton an opportunity, but force him wide, and Alonso's going to try and go through, and Alonso is through. And once again, just give me enough breathing room for a minute. And then to our final lap of the Spanish Grand Prix. Plenty of fuel, so we're going to gun it for the last lap just to try and keep Hamilton at bay. It's been a pretty decent race.
This is your final lap.
Pretty much down to the weather conditions. Got off the line well. Avoided the carnage, didn't pick up any damage. Took advantage when the likes of Ricciardo, Rosberg and Hamilton were stuck behind the McLarens early on, just after the virtual safety car on lap 1. pick their pockets. They've been defending ever since. Button jumped us in the pits. They managed to keep Alonso and Hamilton behind Ricciardo too, but he, for some reason, went for a 2-stop. Still opportunities for Hamilton in this final lap. Off turn 9 well. Keep him at bay. Careful not to run wide into 10 as well, as Sebastian Vettel takes the win in the Ferrari. Verstappen's up there in the top 3, if not the top 4. Hamilton will lose the lead of the championship today. Button's going to come home a very respectable 5th for McLaren, but we're through the final couple of corners. Hamilton hasn't got a response. We're going to cross the line in P6 for our 2nd points finish of the season.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
And now let's take a look at the drivers' standings. Max Verstappen takes over the lead of the Drivers' Championship after that excellent result. Moving on to the driver of the day then. Anthony Davidson, who would you go for?
For my money, it's definitely the Manor driver. They did a great job at getting the most out of their tyres without losing pace, something that's a very handy skill to have in modern day Formula 1.
On to the constructors. Top comes down after a strong weekend from the challenging pack. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. After all that excitement, it's time for a lie down, I think. Thanks for joining us, and goodbye until the next race.
Well, for the 2nd race this season, we pick up points. And for the 2nd race in a row, Ferrari take the win. Vettel leading Verstappen home, Rosberg recovering to 3rd, Raikkonen in 4th, and his Button in 5th. We finished 6th ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who recovered from his 12th place start. Alonso in 8th, Ricciardo down in 9th in the end, and Valtteri Bottas picked up the final point, just a couple of seconds clear of Perez. There's Massa, Grosjean, Hülkenberg, Kvyat down in 15th, Gutierrez, Magnussen, Wehrlein in 18th ahead of Sainz, Palmer, Ericsson and Nasser. Only Ericsson and Nasser a lap down in the end, all 22 finish as well. So what does that do to the drivers? Well, you can see us on the first page. Look at that. Max Verstappen, though, takes the lead of the World Championship by 7 points from Lewis Hamilton. If he keeps this up, this could be a real early Hamilton-Verstappen battle. Raikkonen in 3rd ahead of Rosberg, Button. Vettel moves up to 6th with that win. Bottas slips to 7th, but ahead of Perez and Massa. Alonso remains in 10th. Hülkenberg is 11th. We have 2 points behind the Force India, as we've jumped Daniel Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz and Daniel Kvyat. And then it's Magnussen, and then the no-point scorers so far. Julian Palmer, Felipe Nasser, Grosjean moves up to 19th ahead of Wehrlein, Ericsson and Gutierrez, whereas in the constructors, Mercedes lead the way, but it's Ferrari in 2nd now by 31 points after Ricciardo's poor result. Means that Red Bull slipped to 3rd and 2 points behind Ferrari. McLaren moved up to 4th, moving ahead of Williams, and by a nice little buffer. Force India remains 6th, Toro Rosso 7th. We are now just 2 points behind Minardi. Yeah, and we're still ahead of Renault, Sauber and Haas. Sauber and Haas still yet to score, and, well, from a really desperate looking qualifying session, we've come home P6 with points, and for the 5th race running, look good for it. It's just unfortunate that in 3 of those races, we got AI'd, particularly last time out in Russia. But Spain delivers points. Not something we're going to say often, I don't think. Not something we've said often, and not something I think we're going to say often going forwards. But the rain in Spain really did help. It was a tough race. Enjoyable though to battle with Hamilton and Alonso, Button and Ricciardo, and keep them behind, and do it without costing ourselves big with damage or spin or contact. Might have finally worked out a way of racing the AI on 2016. Next up, though, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the Monte Carlo Grand Prix, Monaco. The toughest of races on the calendar before we get into the likes of Austria and Baku and places like that. But the AI are going to be lethal in Monaco, and we're probably going to be struggling for pace in qualifying once again. Hopefully, though, we can pull something out of the bag when we really, really need it. Maybe tune in next time to check that one out. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. You know the drill by now. Thank you so much for watching this one. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.